Okay, everybody. Misty Williams here with Healing Rosie. Super excited about our chat with Jonathan Otto today. And I know that you guys have been looking forward to this chat as well, because I have a whole host of questions here. And Jonathan, right now I'm not seeing you. Oh, there you are. Dun, dun,
Hey, what's up?
dun. Okay, well, we are going to dive in. So you're at the airport traveling
Yep.
somewhere. What's going on over there?
Well, I am heading over to Australia. So my family's from Australia. So
Uh-huh.
one of the important things, if you live in another country, is that you need to go back, especially when you have a grandchild, to show to their grandparents and nephew.
Oh,
Yeah, he's only
yes.
4 months old, and he's a happy, healthy boy, and we're just so grateful. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the family meeting him for the first time. So that's what's happening.
Well, I've been seeing all your cute pictures on Facebook. That little boy that's he's like a little rag doll right now. He's just so floppy and cute.
Yeah, he is. He is actually very floppy. I need to be very careful with him. So he's very bendy and he just.
Yes. Oh,
But
it's my favorite. I had twins come into our family a couple years ago, niece and a nephew.
amazing,
And I have a
amazing.
picture where I'm holding him, and they were both so floppy. I was trying to hold them and like keep them on my shoulders for the picture, and it was just like these little Muppets. That's
That's
what I call them
amazing.
for the first year. They're so adorable. So I know how yummy it is to have babies in the family.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's going to get lots of love and attention, and you guys are probably going to have to fight for the normal cuddling that you normally get, because when family's around, everybody wants a piece.
Oh yeah, so true, right? So true.
Yeah.
We'll definitely play it by ear and be do our best to be very generous with the boy.
Yes, yes. Well, he's going to love it. He's going to love it. So you have a docu-series coming up. You're releasing again depression, anxiety, and brain health. And I totally love supporting all of your events because they're so educational for our community. And I hear from so many people in our community how much they learn and how much more empowered they feel when they go through one of your launches. So this is exciting on another level too. I don't know if something's in the water, but this has been a topic of conversation in the Healing Rosie Facebook group over the last week quite a bit. There's been lots of questions about anxiety, and I have a whole list here. And I'm kind of curious from your perspective, why did you guys decide to run this event again so quick?
Okay, sure. It was a huge success in that so many people have the challenges that we listed in our series: depression, anxiety, dementia, and all the mental related illnesses, and also like mood disorder. And I mean, anything from even schizophrenia. Of course, a lot of people weren't like willing to put up their hand and say, yeah, I have this, but you could see, I have a brother, I have a friend, there's someone I know that has X. And sometimes, I could tell some people were there, not revealing that they were themselves suffering with that certain challenge. And we had so many solutions to a lot of the most, demonized really diseases, and they really are. And that's something that people need to understand, that there is propaganda against mental illness, and there is a lot of misunderstandings and a real targeted kind of approach to put people into shame and put us in a place that we can't reach out for help. So anyway, that was one of the reasons, the need, but also the fact that we had so many people. I mean, we had 200,000 people register. And then so the next thing that happened was people asking, like, some of us missed it, our friends missed it, and we realized that we couldn't just keep it on the shelf. And so that being said, we don't have any other release dates for this. So if you're listening to this right now and you're interested in it, make sure you jump on, because I'm not sure if and when this will be released again. So definitely come on board, watch it. It's a free documentary series beginning on May the 20th, which is called Depression, Anxiety, and Dementia Secrets. So that's why.
Yeah, well, I really love that you're actually having this conversation and talking a little bit about the stigma, because I do think people feel a lot of shame. I mean, even the words mental illness, I think there's like it's almost a label, that we feel like we're being labeled or something is wrong with us mentally. That's just, all of the, what does that mean for society? What does that mean for my family? What are people going to think of me? It's really challenging to navigate having mental illness, a legitimate mental illness, and also what are people going to make that mean that I'm struggling and that I'm suffering. And it can be very isolating. You feel very alone. I love that people feel comfortable enough in our Facebook group, which it is a closed group. So I love that people feel comfortable enough to ask the questions and talk about it. And that's really what I want, is to create a container and a safe place for people to talk about things that are hard. And I know that's what you're committed to. I mean, you and your wife have navigated so many of these issues on your own and have had to find solutions and figure out, how do we deal with this in a way that's mutually supportive and good for our marriage, good for our family, really considers not only our marriage, but the individuals that are in this marriage, and make sure that they get the help and support they need. So I think it's really courageous of you to, get this information out there and to talk so openly about your own story around it. Thank you so much for saying that, Misty. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, all right, we've got a list of questions here, and I know you're catching a plane, so let's jump right in. Awesome. Helen recently posted in our group, is anyone familiar with taking lithium and inositol? I think I'm saying that right. My daughter has germ phobia, eating disorder, high anxiety, psoriasis, burning and bloating stomach problems, depression, etc. She's on therapy, and they are pressuring her to take Zoloft and other psychotic drugs. I have been looking for help for a while and no luck yet. Okay, sure. And name again, please. Her name's Helen. Helen, so to answer your question, again, so I speak as an investigative journalist reporting on all the treatments that I'm observing. So this is the place I'm coming from. So speaking of lithium orotate is not to be compared with lithium, the drug. So if you want to try lithium orotate, it's something that anybody that's listening right now, they can buy that on Amazon. It is naturally occurring in plants. Lithium orotate is in plants. So it's not a problem, and it's often lacking. And so we have major experts in our series. For example, Dr. John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And he shares on how he actually had Parkinson's disease, and he was, his head was shaking. He had the whole thing. And this was a good 10, 15 years ago now. And when he first worked out how he could reverse it, he did use lithium orotate. And the amazing part of the story is that he shared it on public television and national television because he was a New York Times bestselling author for 5.5 years. That doesn't happen. He was the most famous health expert or relationship expert on TV. And as soon as he shared that story, he got cut from air. And so what you have to understand is that a lot of this information needs to get out through these channels because of that. So to answer your question, lithium orotate was very effective for him with Parkinson's, and it was also very effective for many people that have used it for anxiety and also for depression, but particularly anxiety. Now, when it comes to the drugs, all I can tell you is that I'm not going to tell you to stop a drug immediately, but what I am going to say is look at the root cause, because people have depression and anxiety for all different types of reasons. For example, here's just one particular study. This was on the Toxoplasma gondii parasite. 22.5% of the US population are estimated to have it. That's over 60 million people. It's present in cats and cat feces. So, all of us are exposed to cats. They're just in our living spaces and our friends and family and so forth. But if you have that parasite, you are 7 times more likely to attempt suicide, according to studies. These are actual studies that have been published to show, the Toxoplasma parasite will allow mice to no longer be afraid of cats, which isn't a good thing. And so it will, in order to be fed to its host. So it will change our behaviors. It can, parasites are a major issue. So this is just one of many examples. Then you can come over to something like mercury. For example, this is where you have the term mad hatters. This is when hats were being made from mercury. So, and so what happened to the hat makers? Well, they went mad. And this was a toxin. And so, what caused the issue? It's not an absence of a drug. So Zoloft, no, it's not the answer. That's for sure. What's the answer? Getting amazing detoxification, doing an anti-parasitic cleanse, taking substances that help to bind and get rid of heavy metals, toxins like glutathione and fulvic acid. That's FULVIC, and anti-parasitic that are natural. These are some examples of some of the things I would advise to do particularly for mental illness, among with other conditions. And then you can always put other things in that are missing. Some of them would include omega-3s, vitamin D plus K2, and also the other ones that are missing, or something that's very helpful and it's been proven through a double-blind placebo trial, which was on turmeric versus, actually, I'll tell this, I don't often speak about this publicly, but it's an antidepressant called Prozac. And it was shown to be as effective, except without the side effects. So could you imagine being able to take something like Prozac, get the benefits, but not have the side effects, which aren't side effects, they're direct effects. So just think about all the other things you can do. Don't feel like you only have one option. You have many options, and your daughter can fully recover, Helen. And that's the good news. Yeah, that's the really exciting news. One of the things that comes up for me, based on a lot of the symptoms, Helen, that your daughter's experiencing, is I would totally just start looking at gut healing, gut
Yeah.
health. We just did an interview with Dr. Michael Ruscio in the Facebook group last week, and a great Ask Me Anything. I often recommend his book, Healthy Gut, Healthy You. And I think that you would really benefit from just the education that you're going to get by understanding how gut health affects the entire body. And I'm sure there's a component of that for your daughter. And I know, Jonathan, in your docuseries, you talk about that quite a bit. So
fantastic. And just to wrap that up for you, Helen, and everyone that's listening, what Misty is saying, what I'm saying are one and the same, in that gut healing involves doing the things. For example, you can't have a healthy gut if you have parasites. That's one example. But Misty brings up a great point, and that is to include things that heal the gut and help fix and resolve microbiome, which would include digestive enzymes and probiotics. These are very, very helpful and very amazing to help the body.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Next question's from Deborah. I'm in perimenopause, and with that, I've started to get anxiety. I don't want to go the pharmaceutical drug route, but I feel I need something. My hormones are out of whack, and it's driving me nuts. I started taking an herbal menopausal pill, but it does not really help with the anxiety.
Yeah. And that name again, sorry, Misty?
That was Deborah.
Deborah, fantastic. Deborah, okay, thank you so much for sharing this. And you know what you're going to see is with my answers, I'm going to have a theme here, and I hope that's actually encouraging for everyone. So I'm not saying something like radically different for each person, because it may just lead everyone to feel like, well, what do I do? So, but what Misty and I can do is talk to that particular issue in the context of toxic triggers. So perimenopause, we're seeing heightened symptoms, and we're seeing people have menopause early, and we're seeing, we had this happen. Dr. Newsom shares a case study, a woman in her 60s, and she had lost her period many years ago. And so, and she was irate that after doing detox, that she had a period back again. And she was upset about it, but it was actually good news. It was showing that her body, the toxic effects were what were creating the issue. So I really need everyone to understand that just because, you're going through menopause or perimenopause, it does not mean that this should be like a laborious, horrible experience. The same was with my wife with pregnancy. It didn't have to be a horrible experience. There's so much you can do. So what can you do? Well, let's talk about a couple of things. One that I didn't bring up. So everything that I said to Helen would apply to you, Deborah, and everyone else listening, frankly. I mean, everyone will do well with all of the things that I just mentioned, especially the gut healing protocols that we spoke about, and the parasitic cleanse and heavy metals and so forth, which all involve like restoring the body's function. And now, but what the other things that we've seen exacerbate women's health issues is that, because we've done a lot of interviewing on women's health issues, we've seen a lot of people with polycystic ovaries and women with all kinds of hormonal issues. You have a lot of thyroid issues happen early for women and also late, and it's affecting a lot more women than it is men. Hashimoto's is outranking men, 10 women to 1 man. And so what you'll find is, what are the things that are attacking the sensitive areas of the body? Gluten, wheat, specifically the grain that actually did undergo genetic engineering. It is not classed as a GMO because it was done before 1994 when the GMO laws were passed. But this is very, very important, because this, if you're consuming this, it's going to be harming your body in all kinds of ways. And a lot of the things that you'll be feeling will be a result of consuming these toxic foods, because remember, they will pierce through the gut lining. It goes through a process called chemical mutagenesis, and the gene of the wheat does not respond well at all with the body. And even though the engineer behind it won a Nobel Peace Prize for what they did with the wheat grain, but they screwed up health for the rest of us by dwarfing the species, making it yield 8 times as much and tearing holes through our gut and going into our brain and causing all kinds of issues. I mean, the anxiety being major. So get off the toxic foods. Toxic foods would include wheat, other genetically modified foods. Just don't ever touch them. They would involve genetically modified soy, genetically modified corn, being the 3 biggest hitters out of the 3, including the wheat. And then I'd look at how you can then make sure you're eating at least the dirty dozen, the clean 15, like pushing aside the dirty dozen. And that's the environmental working group's classification of the most pesticide-laden foods, because you want to get the toxins out and you want to allow your body to have a real detox. Then do the other things I'm talking about. Get rid of the toxins out of the body, and you will not have these crazy issues. That's just reality. If people would just do it, so many people sit, they listen, they don't go and embark on that. And through this interview as well, I can mention some of the herbs to look for in an anti-parasitic cleanse and in a heavy metal cleanse, which I briefly did mention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just had a conversation with Dr. Dan Pompa last week, and we talked about how important it was to do these, to do really good detoxification, to restore sensitivity at the receptor site for all of our hormones. Not only are our hormones affected, our hormone production is affected, but our body's ability to actually absorb those hormones once they're in our bloodstream is also affected by all of these toxins. And just the downstream effect of not having what we need hormonally creates all sorts of dysbiosis and dysfunction in the body. And, you know, it gets to be pretty circular after a while. So, you know, definitely there's a gut health component to all of this too. And we know that our neurotransmitters are made in the gut. And, you know, there's so many things that are assaulting us on a daily basis that we have to really pay attention to that. Why don't you talk to us a little bit, Jonathan, about what you think are components of a really good cleanse?
Fantastic. Sure. So some of the great, I mean, and this is just so fantastic for everyone. So there's so much that we can do today. And where do we start? What do we do? Okay, so let's just look at it in a system here. Talks by getting on. So that's a really, you know, and so you need to be able to cleanse the colon. You know, so this is a great place to start. So how do we get the junk out of the colon? So here's some amazing things that are not limited only to these, but these are some examples. Bentonite clay. Bentonite is an amazing clay that is good to draw out compacted or impacted fecal matter from the colon. So this is going to be happening for all of us. It's due to the types of foods that we've all eaten through our life. And even if you're healthy now, it doesn't mean that you were 5 years ago. And you will still have a buildup in your body. So you want to get rid of that junk. And so that will include things like bentonite clay. You'll look at something called Cascara sagrada, which means it translates to sacred bark, Cascara sagrada. What you'll find is a lot of these things are husks. They're the shells of something. They're the bark, like cinnamon bark. You have the outer layer, cinnamon bark being another example, black walnut being another example. And these will help the body to remove toxins out of the colon. So then that will help you to be moving on that route. Now, the other organs that are backed up are the liver and the kidneys. So some of the great detoxifying herbs for liver and kidneys would involve milk thistle, which is Silimarin so you'll see that on the label, or milk thistle. Either one is fine. It's the same thing. But what you'll find is that this is really amazing for drawing out toxins out of the liver and kidneys in particular. And another great herb for this is dandelion root. And dandelion root is very helpful for this same protocol. And you'll find that they're arguably some of the best herbs you can use for cleansing the liver and the kidneys. And it's something that everyone should be aware about, because it's so easy. You think about it, you're genuinely just taking capsules. It's best to, in my opinion, it's best to find a supplement that has that in it, and then see what you feel about their philosophy or whoever you're getting that from, and look at even just a couple of those ingredients, see if you feel like that matches the description, what I'm talking about or other experts have been talking about, and then just go for it. Just try it out. If it works for you, then fantastic. And then a couple of the other things that I would say to get rid of the toxins, including the parasites, that would be specifically with mimosa pudica seed. So that's like the alcoholic drink mimosa, alcohol not being one of the best things you can consume when it comes to parasites. You want to really limit or exclude alcohol consumption when you're doing a parasite cleanse, and in general, in my opinion, to prevent the destruction of your microbiome. But speaking specifically again of the herb, it's called mimosa pudica seed, and that is fantastic, as well as black walnut. But green harvested black walnut I've seen to be some of the most effective. And then you have other herbs like clove and neem, and there's an amazing Ayurvedic herb called triphala, which is great to move toxins into the colon and to excrete them from the body. And then you can have extracts of garlic and extracts of parasites. It's really good for parasites, but I wouldn't use it by itself and feel like it's going to do the job. You need to pair it up with some things, and that's how you can get a great result. But you can simply do that, but be proactive with it and stay consistent, because 2 months should be the time that you aim for at least to really complete a cycle. But again, it's the only thing you have to do: consume the capsules, and that's about it, really. But that.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've got some great experts that go into all of this a little bit more on the docu-series that you guys have coming up. So I just want to encourage everyone, if you've got questions around this stuff, if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, and related symptoms, or if someone you love is dealing with this, sign up for the Depression, Anxiety, and Brain Health docu-series that Jonathan is doing. And I'm including a link here if you guys want to go download his Brain Healing Breakthroughs ebook. That is available for everyone in our group, free as always from Jonathan. So I know you've got a plane to catch, sir. Thank you so much for making time to visit with us today.
You're so welcome. It was such a pleasure, Misty. And thank you for your knowledge and your wisdom and your love for your community, and how much you just, you care, and they know that you do. And it's refreshing. And every time I connect with you, it's really encouraging for me. And so I'm really excited to continue to connect with you and team up with you to create a better world where people don't have to suffer, and they can have the information they need, and they cannot be taken advantage of. That's what we strive for here. And you might hear, I got some salt water. I went surfing this morning, so I have it a little bit, some salt water in my nostrils. I'm actually feeling fantastic. But all right, just stay with me for a second. Boarding pass, stay with me, because
you're boarding the plane.
All right, sure. I'll cut it off right now. Thank you very much. Fantastic. All right, thank you so much. I'll turn it right off. Okay. And so here's the tiny little plane. All right, I'm about to turn it off. And there we go. Whoops.
Awesome. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thanks for everything. I appreciate you. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon. Have a really safe flight and have so much fun with your family.
Thanks so much, Misty. Catch you
soon.
All
right. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.